Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Before I get on out of here, I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Before I take off, I have to address a story that is absolutely monumental, arguably one of the most talked about in recent sports memory. The world of professional basketball is rattling under a seismic shockwave that no one expected, yet everyone feared might come. The rumors surrounding Caitlin Clark have finally reached a fever pitch. Speculation is now erupting online that the undeniable superstar of contemporary women's basketball has hit her breaking point and has reportedly delivered a dire ultimatum to the Indiana Fever organization. After a rookie season that felt more like an endurance trial than a celebration of talent, industry insiders now suggest she's prepared to leave behind the toxicity and never look back. This narrative detonated in a nuclear fashion when the outspoken voice of sports media, Stephen A. Smith, seemingly confirmed the deepest anxieties of Fever fans everywhere. He didn't merely allude to her frustration. He painted a vivid portrait of a generational talent being pushed to the edge by a league that should have been her staunchest protector. To truly grasp why the globe's brightest star allegedly contemplated abandoning her entire WNBA trajectory, you must look beyond highlight reels and three-point showcases to the harrowing reality she endured behind the scenes. From her very first professional step onto the court, an unprecedented target was stamped squarely on her back. The betrayal wasn't from rivals. It came from the very franchise that drafted her as a cornerstone of its future. Throughout a grueling season, fans watched in disbelief as Caitlin was aggressively targeted, blindsided, and violently checked by players clearly carrying grudges. Everyone remembers the infamous cheap shot from Kennedy Carter that triggered a national firestorm. The ball wasn't even in play, yet Carter went out of her way to send Caitlin sprawling to the floor. That single incident should have been a warning for the league, but in reality, it was only the beginning. Moving into the high-stakes environment of the playoffs, she suffered another brutal, uncalled shot to the eye by Dejanai Carrington, leaving her visibly bruised in the most crucial game of her professional life. The most maddening part wasn't even the physical hits. It was the deafening silence and absence of support from her own teammates. In any other professional league, a player laying a hand on a franchise star would immediately face consequences, teammates and staff ensuring it never happened again. When Michael Jordan faced the Pistons' onslaught, the Bulls protected him. When Wayne Gretzky glided across the ice, he had enforcers guarding him. Caitlin, however, was repeatedly left to pick herself off the hardwood, as the Fever roster seemed to look away or offer only perfunctory help. This glaring lack of solidarity infuriated fans across the spectrum. And someone with an enormous microphone was watching every second of this blatant mistreatment, and he was furious. Stephen A. Smith, known for his no-holds-barred approach, has taken his commentary on the Caitlin Clark saga to an entirely new level. On national television, he directly confronted the internal rot in both the WNBA and the Fever, fueled by unfiltered jealousy. He criticized veteran players, opposing coaches, and league officials, demanding answers about why the very player driving ratings, commercial deals, and ticket sales was being treated as public enemy number one. Stephen A. made it painfully clear that Caitlin is painfully aware of the animosity and, more importantly, utterly drained by the mental strain required to navigate it. He highlighted the uncomfortable truth. While players forced smiles for the cameras and offered boilerplate statements, resentment simmered over her unprecedented endorsements, high-profile shoe deals, and relentless media attention. According to Smith, this toxic, hyper-competitive environment drained the joy from what should have been a historic rookie season, turning it into a daily mental and physical grind. Yet, the external pressure and locker room jealousy were only part of the story. The deeper issue brewed within the Fever organization itself. The coaching staff and front office appeared entirely unprepared for managing a talent of this magnitude. Head coach Christy Sides faced relentless criticism throughout the season for baffling tactical choices, from bizarre offensive schemes that removed the ball from Caitlin during key moments to puzzling benchings in tightly contested games. Millions of fans were left frustrated as the league's most dynamic offensive weapon repeatedly ran through plays that nullified her vision and shooting range. Rumors circulated that the relationship between the rookie phenom and her coach had fractured beyond repair. How does a professional franchise draft a once-in-a-generation talent and fail to build a system or roster to elevate her? Many considered it gross incompetence, pushing Caitlin to realize her potential was actively being hindered. General Manager Lynn Dunn also faced scrutiny for failing to assemble the necessary veteran enforcers and floor spacers to complement Caitlin's fast-paced, high IQ style. Instead, she was surrounded by a disjointed roster fundamentally incompatible with her game. The icy tension on the bench foreshadowed a far more hostile internal climate. Behind closed doors, the locker room reportedly reeked of unspoken conflict. Imagine a roster of seasoned professional women, long accustomed to grinding in obscurity, suddenly thrust into a blinding spotlight because of one 22-year-old rookie. Each post-game press conference became a tightrope walk, with teammates carefully navigating language to avoid overpraising or revealing frustration. Observant fans noted subtle cues that contradicted the official narratives. Eye rolls, ignored high fives, and cryptic social media posts. Caitlin felt isolated, carrying the crushing weight of the league's commercial future, while contending with a potentially hostile work environment. Compounding the challenge was the punishing WNBA schedule, compressing the league's most rigorous calendar while she navigated interpersonal tensions. The mental strain, combined with physical exhaustion, inevitably brought her to a breaking point. And just when Indiana executives thought they had her secured on a standard rookie contract, an extraordinary opportunity emerged. The unrivaled league, a highly funded, 3-on-3 venture spearheaded by WNBA icons Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. While the WNBA was compensating its premier draw with a famously modest rookie salary of roughly $76,000, Unrivaled was on the verge of completely redefining the financial landscape of women's sports. Rumors rippled through both the financial and sports worlds that this groundbreaking league was preparing to offer Caitlin a deal reminiscent of Lionel Messi's astronomical contracts, worth millions, loaded with equity in the company, and giving her full control over her personal brand and marketing. This wasn't a minor salary boost or a seasonal bonus. It was generational wealth and unprecedented executive authority handed to her on a silver platter. The league structure, staged in Miami during the WNBA offseason, promised a shorter schedule, less physical wear and tear, and a much more player-centric environment. Meanwhile, major European clubs always lurked in the background with open checkbooks, historically ready to pay high seven-figure sums for just a few months of elite American talent. The harsh financial reality slammed into the Indiana Fever front office like a runaway freight train. Caitlin Clark didn't need the WNBA or the Fever to become a millionaire. Yet the WNBA desperately needed Caitlin Clark to survive and grow. Suddenly, she possessed absolute leverage. Analysts like Stephen A. Smith relentlessly emphasized that she was fully prepared to wield every ounce of it to force a seismic paradigm shift. But money wasn't the only driver. Cultural exhaustion played an equally heavy role. The daily media storm surrounding her every action had reached a level of toxicity bordering on dangerous, mentally draining territory. Every day, major networks manufactured fake rivalries, transforming minor on-court interactions into massive racial, political, or cultural debates she never requested. The constant comparisons to Angel Rhee, polarizing debates about her perceived privilege, and ruthless character dissections turned a sport she loved into a ceaseless political battlefield. News anchors who had never watched a full women's basketball game suddenly invoked her name to push network agendas. She had repeatedly stated in press conferences that she just wanted to play basketball and uplift her teammates. Yet the sports media machine refused to allow her to exist simply as an athlete. She was forced to simultaneously be a spokesperson, cultural savior, and punching bag. The pressure was crushing, one that had toppled seasoned veterans, let alone a 22-year-old rookie fresh out of the protective college environment. Microphones shoved in her face, questions about fans' behavior, podcasters' remarks, and historical league inequities. This was a burden no rookie had ever carried. When the Fever were finally ousted by the Connecticut Sun, a telling moment occurred. Walking off the court after her rookie season, Caitlin didn't appear heartbroken. Instead, she looked undeniably relieved. The weight of expectation briefly lifted. During her exit interview, she jokingly mentioned putting basketball aside to play golf, a comment insiders read as a calculated warning to the league. Publicly, she was signaling her intent to reclaim her life, step away from the toxic media circus, and reassess her career on her own terms. And now, the basketball world is collectively holding its breath over the brutal ultimatum. The phrase, "I'm leaving forever," might initially sound like clickbait, but piecing together insider insights and Stephen A. Smith's well-sourced reporting paints a clear picture. Caitlin holds the ultimate trump card in this high-stakes professional poker game. She could demand a trade now, refusing to set foot on the court for Indiana unless the coaching staff was overhauled, incompetent front office figures removed, and teammates brought in to protect her and run her fast-paced system. She could point at the franchise and say, "It's her or me," with the team forced to comply. Even more alarming for league executives, she could step away entirely for a season to make a point, taking the lucrative unrivaled deal, signing a historic Nike extension, and playing highly publicized overseas exhibitions, leaving the WNBA scrambling to justify plummeting TV ratings to sponsors. Viewer numbers had already dropped the moment the Fever were eliminated, proving fans tuned in for her, not the league. Local businesses in opposing WNBA cities reported significant revenue spikes when the Fever visited, all driven by her presence. If she follows through, the financial fallout for the Fever, their city, and the league would be catastrophic. The WNBA spent an entire, highly publicized season mishandling their greatest asset, allowing her to be battered, isolated, and alienated. While accurate voices like Stephen A. Smith warned from the outset, the league fumbling its most valuable cultural and financial opportunity has been historically staggering.